Hey everyone, and welcome to Already Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tara, and we are going to talk about the Twilight Zone Season 2, Episode 13. It is called Back There. So, full spoilers for the episode as always. This is a time travel episode. Our main character is named Pete Corrigan, and he leaves a debate at a gentleman's club. I guess it's one of these old-fashioned things that you see in TV shows and movies that I don't really. I mean, maybe I'm just not part of
Yeah,
that.
just a bunch of old people smoking together with nice outfits.
And, yeah, and playing
Maybe there's
cards.
cards involved. Yeah.
I guess sometimes they play cards. But they're having a debate about time travel, not unlike me might do if we're talking about a movie. And the guy's like, I don't accept this nonsense. He's like, I'm tired. I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to bed. And for some reason, and that reason being he's in the Twilight Zone, is he walks out the door and he's back in time to the night that Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. And he slowly, well, he quickly realizes he's back in time, to be fair. It doesn't take that long for him to kind of clock that concept. But then when he slowly realizes that that's the date that he's in, and maybe makes a choice to try and intervene because you can't let the president be shot, which is relevant to the conversation that we were having at the start of the episode in the country club, because the men were talking. One was arguing that, if you went back in time, you could change things, and someone says, no, you can't because it's already happened. You can't change it even if you did go back. So that is the general premise of the episode. So Tara, what did you think of Back There?
I thought it was pretty fun. I like this episode. It was a concept that we've explored before watching science fiction films. And it's like, if you have an opportunity to change a historical event, would you, or even could you? Like, would the universe allow it? It was fun.
Yeah, and this episode actually has a kind of interesting answer, honestly, at the end.
Yeah.
That I wasn't expecting. I will say I will pick some holes in the debate they're having at the start, because like the one guy who's like adamant, you can go back and change things. The example he uses is that if you went back to the day before the stock market crashed in 1929, you could protect yourself by doing all these things with your stocks. And I'm like, yeah, but if you just went back in time and arrived that day, then you wouldn't have any money in the stock market to do anything with. Where are all these stocks coming from?
Yeah.
It felt like a flawed debate to me, but that's neither here nor there. I enjoyed the episode well enough. It's a little bit predictable in places. Do you know what it really made me think of, bizarrely, and not just because they mentioned H.G. Wells, but I got some serious Time After Time vibes from this.
Yeah.
In reverse, because they go back in time. But
That's interesting because the other episode that featured the same actor, the guy who was in Gilligan's Island, who played the professor, was in another time travel episode that I thought was like Time After Time because it brought a murderer to the future.
yeah, it was because eventually, obviously, the assassin, Booth, he because when the main character Corrigan realizes what date it is, because he goes to this street that he lives on or used to live on, and it's all new when he expects it to be old, and the landlady there is kind of like thinking he's a bit crazy, but she's all impressed when he says he's an engineer, because that's probably quite impressive in that time period.
Sure.
And
And it probably means he could pay rent.
yeah, that's true, yes. And there's like a soldier who comes down and he's taking his missus to a play, and they're all excited, and there's just a
Hmm.
random line from the line that says, make sure you clap for the president. And he said, wait a minute. What did you just say? President at a play?
At the theater? What show is it?
If I had asked you, I mean, I actually can't remember now because we watched this last night, but if I had asked you before this episode what play Lincoln was seeing when he got shot, would you have been able to tell me?
No idea.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I would not know. Nor would I have known the date, because once he realizes that this is this date, he actually says the date out loud, and I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't have known that. I don't know what date
He,
Lincoln got
he
shot.
admits that he didn't know if it was at what time the play was. Like that was the one detail he didn't know.
Yeah, that would be far fetched if he knew that though. Like what time
Yeah.
the play started. Like
At
what?
least he had some limitations.
Yeah. No, don't get me wrong. All those details, I buy that someone who's at least into history or maybe had to learn
Sure.
that particular thing at school, like
He's
in
very
detail.
educated.
Yeah.
I'm sure like he paid attention in history class or just like being around those groups of people who just have those types of intellectual discussions, maybe remember things like that faster. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone intelligent that I can talk to, so
I apologize to the audio listeners because there was a visual gag there when Tara said that, where I looked straight at her with this look of upset, like my feelings were
Betrayal.
hurt. Yes, betrayal. Yes, that's the word. I was betrayed. Uh, so once he realizes what's happening, he starts yelling, or he goes to the police station. He goes to the local police station and starts yelling about the president being assassinated. Or actually, no, I think there's like a policeman drags him in because he was yelling outside. Either way, he ends up at the police station.
Well, he's banging on the outside of the theater door.
Oh, that's right. That's where he gets arrested. You're right. He's
Which I remember because when he's banging it, you could see like the brick part of the building also moving every time he knocked.
Not the first time we've encountered that issue with the sets on Twilight Zone.
No.
With
Universal
things...
Studios really needs to up their game.
Yeah, too much wobbling on the walls. But so you guys take it to the police station, and after he's in for like a minute, in walks a mysterious figure, and he says his name's whatever. He doesn't use his real name, but I immediately went, "Oh, that's the guy that's going to kill." Like I was like,
I thought he was like a magician or something. He had such like a, I don't know, a flourish about the way he spoke and moved. But he turns out he's an actor, so that makes sense too.
Yeah, because I felt like it was so obvious that the reason why whoever this guy was, the reason why he showed up is because he'd heard that, like, how could he know that? How could he know that I was going to do that tonight? And that's why he came in. What I thought was weird, like, what were the rules exactly? Could you just walk out of the police? I will take responsibility for that prisoner.
This crazy person.
I'll take him home and I'll be responsible for anything he does. And the police was like, "Oh, that's one less for us to deal with. Yeah, thank you kindly."
Yeah, they're very impressed by him. You know, the way he walks in, he's so confident, and he's got a great mustache. I heard that John Wilkes Booth was actually quite well known at the time, so it would be unlikely that he wouldn't have been recognized because he was like a pretty well known theater actor.
Oh, that's fair. Maybe they didn't go out their way to make this super accurate, I guess.
Not everybody's into the theater. Like
True. I mean, that's a fair point. Like I mean, I don't know any theater actors unless they also happen to be movie actors. That I would know.
That is our theater.
True.
Like if Tom Cruise walked in, would you be like, "You're Tom Cruise, so no, you cannot take our prisoner," or yes, you can and bring him to space with you?
I think my instant reaction would be, "You're very short." Actually, I like the idea of, like, if I could keep the poker face going, just pretend I have no idea who they are. I'm not filling their ego. I'm not letting them know I know who they are. Like, sir, what's your name?
Sounds like you're just shy.
What's your name, sir? Cruz. How do you spell that?
C-R-U-Z? Like that actress, Penelope Cruz.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, she's good.
Anyway, so he takes him back to his place. That sounds like it's going in a weird direction. In fact, not only that, he takes him back to his place and then roofies him. So this sounds like it's going in a very specific direction that I don't mean to be sounding. But so Booth takes Corrigan back to his place.
Gives him some Rohypnol.
Gives him some booze, which is spiked, so that he'll pass out, just so he can't interfere. So that he's going to go off to the theater and do his business.
Well, I mean, Booth isn't a murderer. Oh.
Yes. Yeah. Very good. This is the thing. So there's one policeman in the police station who's kind of like, like, he was so sure of this thing happening. Maybe we should just post a couple of extra guards. And the guy in charge is like, "Don't be ridiculous. We can't just do anything in the one of a madman. Like, don't be silly." And this policeman, like, shows up at the apartment. He's came looking for him, and it's when he finds him and he's getting him up off the floor after he's waking up that. And this was actually kind of a weird moment from, like, a logic point of view, because they just hear people outside yelling the president's been killed, and I'm like,
yeah,
where are they hearing that from? Like what's outside? Like, I don't know. It just cut to this random
word
person
of mouth,
outside.
spread fast. All those carrier pigeons spreading the word fast.
It was a weird moment, but yeah. So it's basically like, okay, this proves that no, this was true. This is what happened, and like, this is what changes the future, because when he comes back to the present day, because he goes to the... Because when he's leaving the country club at the start of the episode, before he leaves, there's like a doorman who lets him out. Mm-hmm. And when he comes back at the end, there's a different doorman. And he's like, "Oh, where's William? Where's William the doorman?" He's like, "There's no William that works here, sir." And he goes back in, and he goes to his table, and there's like an extra person, and it's the doorman who's now got a fancy suit and is just as rich as everyone else, and they say, "Oh, it's like, what are you doing here? You were the doorman." He's like, "I can assure you, sir, I've never been a doorman." He gets all offended, and he's like, "Oh, how did you get your fortune?" And he's like, "Oh, my grandfather, it's a weird thing. My great grandfather, was convinced that the president was going to be shot before it happened, and no one ever figured out how, but everyone remembered him, so he ended up getting into business for himself, and he made his millions." And and it's this weird thing. So essentially, what the episode is kind of presented at the end, and this is actually very Doctor Who, bizarrely, is that there's like events in time that are fixed that cannot be changed because they're too important to the timeline. But all the other little things around it, they can be changed. So this person, like his family becoming rich because of what happened, that's okay. But you can't change Lincoln being shot because that's like a fixed thing in time.
I still don't know why you predicting somebody would get shot would make you rich.
I don't understand that either. If
he made millions off of it, and even his great-grandson is, swimming in inheritance money.
I feel like if someone predicted an assassination now, what would happen is that everyone would be suspicious of you, that you were in on it in some way, and would never trust you again. I feel like that's what would actually be your legacy, is that you'd be looked at with suspicion for the rest of your life. Not, we'll give you money because you're clearly a well-deserving individual of my income, of my disposable income.
Yeah, we don't buy the whole Nostradamus theories anymore.
Yeah, so a little bit weird in that sense, but I kind of appreciate that it wasn't just you can change things or you can't. I kind of liked that it went in the middle and said, no, some things you can change, but some stuff's important to history and they can't be changed.
It is fun to have an answer. Like, I liked watching the episode and wondering, like, are they going to address the question of, like, what happens if he changes history? Because, we dealt with a film like that before, Final Countdown, where it's like, okay, they're asking the question, but they're not actually committing to an answer. And in this, like, they give you an answer, and it's kind of a fun solution. It's a little bit of a surprise.
I think the problem is if they went down the road of like, okay, you can't change anything, I don't think he actually does enough to try and stop the murder from happening to really feel like, oh, he tried.
Well, he tries. He gets arrested, and then he gets drugged, and a magician steals him, and he gets a free handkerchief out of it.
Yeah, that part actually, that if I have a complaint about the time travel in this, all on the fact that it just happens for no reason, just randomly, because he was talking about time travel.
Yeah, he just is
that he brings that handkerchief back to present day with him with the initials of Booth on it, but all of his clothes change. Like when he goes back in time, all his clothes change to like a suit made of that time period, and then when he comes back to the present day, he has his like modern business suit on again.
It's just his souvenir from the Twilight Zone.
All right, sure. I call shenanigans on the logic here. That's not quite adding up. But honestly, it's an enjoyable episode. It's not like a standout one, I think, because there are these issues. Like, I think the time travel in this, don't think about it too hard. Just have fun with the idea that this guy realizes he's back in that day, and that just have fun with it on that level. But it's definitely
I think it's a perfectly fun episode, but it's not like a it's not like a memorable one.
It's not posing the questions hard enough or doing anything poignant with them to really make it stand out.
He doesn't come back and like the Nazis are running America or anything like that. Like, it's just one guy is now a millionaire.
Yeah. Which, I mean, nothing changing could be really impactful depending on what he did to try and change it, but it doesn't feel like they earned like a big, like, oh, I did everything I could and yet I couldn't change something. It didn't really feel like that because it felt so separated from it. It felt like he ran into the killer briefly and it's whatever, but interesting. I mean, part of me was hoping for a scene at the theater where he's like, he's doing the Marty McFly up in the rafters trying to get to the president.
I was hoping to see some Lincoln.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the hat.
Here's the thing: we've already had Lincoln. We had Lincoln in season 1. Remember, he was like that angel type character who showed up to talk to the trumpet player.
Yeah, you're right. He did look like Lincoln.
I'm pretty sure he was Lincoln. I think he was meant to be Lincoln.
Really?
In my memory, he was supposed to be Lincoln, but I don't know if I'm just making that up now because
the trumpet player.
Yeah, I think that was the episode he showed up. Right, he showed up and talked to the trumpet player, gave him advice.
Huh?
Because it was basically "Don't give up and die."
I don't know. That was like 65 episodes ago.
That's a fair point, but I do recall a Lincoln-esque figure.
I remember I enjoyed the trumpet music in it because I thought actually, oh, the trumpet player sounds pretty good. And it was like a really stylistic one, right? Because he was always in like scaffolds or
Yeah. Honestly, there's so many episodes, and the fact that we've already forgotten what that episode was means that when we finish the show, we could just go back to the start and do it again.
we can do it again. Everybody waiting on those 80s episodes are gonna be really disappointed.
Nah, we'll go to the A's. We'll do the A's once. Maybe we'll even slot in Outer Limits in between, or Night Gallery. We'll shake it up. I
think Night Gallery is expected.
Yeah. I think people want Outer Limits as well. I've seen some requests for Outer Limits.
I watched a lot of the 90s one. I don't think I've ever seen the original Outer Limits series.
I mean, we actually get requests for sci-fi shows that aren't even anthologies, which is weird because we're not established that we do those. But I mean,
no, there was talk of doing one for a little bit, but I didn't like the show that much.
Yes. Yeah, the episode's enjoyable. It was basically what we're getting. It was an enjoyable episode.
Yeah, it's fun.
Enjoyable, nothing noteworthy. But the lead actors. I think I wish they did a bit more with it, but I guess that's partly why it feels like Time After Time, because Time After Time left me with a very similar feeling of like, oh, it was fun, but I wish they did more with it.
Yeah. I like that movie.
Yeah. I know you did. We reviewed it on the Atomic Cinema Experiment.
Check it out.
Yeah. At the end, Rod Serling came in, of course, and talked about the next episode, and unfortunately, the videotape is making a return for the next one.
Your dreaded videotape episode.
This little bit at the end looked like absolute shit. And you know what? I was actually, remember last time we did one of these, I was speculating is the audio worse as well, and it definitely is, because having just heard him do the outro to the episode, and then had him like then do the videotape, like, you know, tease for next week, it was like, no, his voice sounds worse. The audio was worse. The
bane
as well.
of your existence.
Yeah, it sucks. Anyway, it's called The Whole Truth.
Episodes.
It's about a used car salesman. Here's the description on IMDb. A used car salesman buys a car that dooms him to tell only the truth.
Ooh, it's a liar.
Yeah, that sounds actually like potentially really fun.
It does.
Okay. Hopefully this is good. I'm hopeful.
This pen is red. I like that movie.
I remember liking it. I don't know if it holds
I haven't
up.
seen it since the theater, I don't think.
I mean, I saw it a bunch of times at home, but I mean, the last time was probably in my early teens, so it's been a long time.
Yeah.
Early time. That's fine. We'll just start the comedy cinema experiment, and we'll start doing old comedies. It's fine.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that was a joke, people. Don't expect a new show. that was purely.
I was just going over my head, like which ones we would start with. Obviously, the Mystery Science Theater movie is a must.
I guess that technically counts. Yes.
The movie. It's in the title.
Yes. No, we haven't done Mystery Science Theater in a while, actually. That's something we'll have to rectify. But anyway, this has been Twilight Zone. That has been back then. So, what?
I thought you were going to say that's been Tara.
Oh, okay. Even though I've literally never, ever done that before.
In my head, you have.
So let us know what you think of the episode, the comments below. You can like and subscribe, all that stuff. It helps us out a lot if you do. As does, of course, go to patreon.com/mailfuzztv, where you can support us for as $1 per month. For as little as $1 per month is what that was meant to be. And you get bonus episodes of various things, including our sci-fi movie podcast, the Atomic Cinema Experiment. At the $5 tier, you get early access to a bunch of stuff, including these Twilight Zone reviews. And also at $1 now, you get a bonus already cancelled on 6 Feet Under that me and Connor do. So you're going to have a look, see if you're interested. All of it does help. And yeah. But anyway, that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys, in the Twilight Zone.